Hi, my name is Marcella Crable-Grego, and I am delighted to be invited to partner with the Moravian Northern Province to offer group spiritual companioning, a practice that has been a part of your community for a number of years now, and it continues to be offered. Group spiritual companioning is an opportunity to gather in a circle of 4 to 8 people to listen together for the still small voice of God in the midst of the clamor, unknowing, and sea of change in our life. And what a season of change we are in. In our group spiritual companioning groups, we anchor into God, this God who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And we listen with and for each other for how God might be leading and inviting us to hold fast the hope for both our individual lives and the lives of our beloved communities. This is a tradition, group spiritual companioning, that has taken root in the Moravian Church. It actually has its roots for you all in an early formation in the 18th century choir system, in which members of your community were grouped according to gender and marital status. In these groups, spiritual needs were addressed. So is it any surprise that you all are hearkening back to call forth that which is part of your heritage already? Rick Beck from Alberta says that the goal of the experience of group spiritual companioning is simple: to create a safe, sacred space where people can share their life journey and listen for God's movement in their lives. Bertie Nisley, who's a part of your community here at your church, says that anyone who's been on a faith journey and has a desire for a deeper relationship will benefit from spiritual companioning groups. In addition to a desire to draw closer to mystery and to love, someone who joins a group like this needs to be willing and invited to share about what's happening in his or her life, prayerfully listening to others in the group as they share, and we observe confidentiality, and we make attendance to the group gathering one of our spiritual practices. It is a commitment. And the groups meet once a month for 2 hours at a time that is convenient for everybody. And the invitation is always gentle, and it's always invitational. You share at the level that is right for you. Peg Reiner of the Lidditz community says those who yearn for a deeper, closer walk with the holy and want to find time to invite God's action into their lives more distinctly and more clearly might consider this type of group. Peg goes on to say, anyone who wants the community of a spiritual group of peers with quiet prayer, personal reflection time, but without cognitive study, lecture, or dialogue, would appreciate this type of group. I've been facilitating a number of group spiritual companioning groups with you all, with the Moravian community, for the last number of months. And I invited some of the members who've been participating to share their experience. So this is what one member in your community has said. Our group spiritual companioning gatherings have been a place to set aside our work, no conversations about committees, meetings, etc., and come into a space of spiritual sharing. The tone set is one of grace and the expansiveness of God. During group spiritual companioning, we're able to hear and be heard, to explore the shared faith that brought us into ministry in the first place, or what brought us to this community. And we're able to be together, celebrate our place in the communion of all saints, and leave the demands and concerns for ministry just for a bit. I facilitate groups both for pastors and for lay people, and this was particularly the sharing from a pastor. Another person said, a lay community member said, it is refreshing and inspiring to become aware that the Moravian Church has sponsored this group spiritual companioning, thus making them available to anywhere, particularly with Zoom. What these have done is to help us reconnect with our roots and to stimulate our prayer lives with renewed intention and purpose. And one other person said, spiritual companioning has been a blessing. It's invited me to look at things around me and to listen to others as God sees and listens. Sharing in a group of fellow Christians gives me new insight into my own feelings, as well as support and encouragement. It has allowed me to scratch more than just the surface of those feelings and therefore deepen my relationship with God. I'm so thankful for this group. So group spiritual direction, group spiritual companioning, I often call a sacred pause or a comma in our day. We pause, we come together, we open our hearts. I usually begin with a song or some kind of lectio divina that opens up the heart space, because we have three intelligence centers, right? The head, the emotional center, and movement. So sometimes we're doing a body prayer and inviting all of ourselves to come into the presence of the holy. And then there's usually a prompting question. And it might be, what is bringing you joy? What are you, where are you finding life? One of the groups a couple weeks ago did a lectio divina with each of us praying with our watchword, the scripture that has been given to you for your year, and noticing what word or phrases came alive for us, each of us with our own particular watchword. So every group is different, and it's just a gentle time of sharing, held in the heart of God. It's not a committee meeting. It's not a Bible study. It's not a problem-solving group or even a self-help group. It really is a group to open our hearts, to listen to and be held in love, to listen to the heart of God with each other, and to deepen that capacity for listening with our community members. The initial commitment is usually 4 months, 4 to 6 months, once a month, 2 hours, again, at a time that's convenient for you. We honor confidentiality, and create the brave space where the shy soul of our heart can show up. So if this is of interest, there are opportunities to get involved. Please be in touch with your pastor or the person who is appointed in your congregation to be collecting any names of interest. And we will be back in touch and see when we can get started for a new group spiritual companioning group within your community. Thanks so much.